there, my name is Miss Melanson, and I will be reading to you a story that I wrote to cover the Georgia Standards of Excellence for second grade science, to plan and carry out an investigation to demonstrate how pushing and pulling on an object affects the motion of the object. Here we go. The title of my book is A Force to be Reckoned with. Tanya and Dylan had known each other for as long as they could remember. They had lived in the same houses on the same cul-de-sac. They were always together. Those who did not know them would think that they were brother and sister. They had many things in common, primarily their love for problem solving. They were always up for a challenge when the opportunity presented itself. One day, after school, Dylan walked a few houses over, ran up Tanya's stairs, and pushed on her doorbell. As Tanya always does, waiting with anticipation, Tanya pulled the door open and pushed past Dylan, giggling, "Come on, slowpoke." Dylan chased her, and they begin on one of their routine adventures through the Enchanted Forest, also known as Red Rock Subdivision. On their adventures, they've encountered trolls, unicorns, wizards, and anything else they can pull out of their magical brains. Dylan had not been fishing since his dad left on his work trip, so on this adventure, he packed his fishing pole, a wagon, and a picnic basket. As they skipped and ran through the forest toward their destination of the Crystal Rainbow Pond, Tanya heard a cry. Not like a baby crying, but more like a whine a horse would make. As they peered around some trees, they noticed a baby unicorn laying in the brush with a broken leg. Dylan looked at Tanya, and Tanya looked at Dylan. They knew they had to act fast. They were up for the challenge of rescuing the baby unicorn. Tanya wondered, how will we move this poor unicorn and get it back to its mom? Even though it was a baby, it was much too large for them to carry all by themselves. They had a big hill they had to get over to get to the Unicorn Cove that they had been to previously, and there was no way they could get it over the hill without the use of some force. Dylan and Tanya brainstormed. Tanya thought of her science class earlier that day on a lesson about force and motion. Pushing and pulling are forces that you can use to get objects to move from one place to another. I wonder, said Tanya, do you think we could use your wagon to pull the unicorn up the hill? Dylan replied, great idea. Let's give it a go. They loaded the unicorn in the wagon and were able to pull her to the top of the hill. When they reached the top, they were so hungry from all the energy they exerted pulling the wagon that they decided to find a shady spot to eat their picnic to build back up their energy. Dylan pulled some juice boxes, chips, and bananas out of the picnic basket and shared them with his companions. As they snacked, a wizard came upon them. Tanya was so thankful she was able to ask the wizard if he could help her with the unicorn. Unfortunately, he said that he did not have the magic to fix the leg, but he could tell them a way that they could. They must continue their journey to the Crystal Rainbow Pond and catch the biggest fish in there and feed it to the unicorn. After she eats it, she will be healed. Dylan said, I love to fish. We can do that. So off they went. They did not have any problems pulling the wagon down the smooth path, but just before the pond, the path changed from smooth to rough sand. The wagon became very difficult to pull through the sand. The friction was slowing the wagon down, and the baby help quickly. Tanya asked, "What should we do, Dylan? We need to get there faster. We need to use our strength and apply more force. Let's push this wagon as hard as we can to get it through the sand. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go!" They pushed as hard as they could, and off they went. They were able to make it through the sand and to the pond that provided the antidote that the unicorn needed. As they reached the pond, Dylan wasted no time casting the rod. He waited patiently to find the largest fish, and when he hooked him, he had to pull with all his might. So did the fish. It was as if they were in a tug of war, Dylan and the fish pushing and pulling. Who would have the stronger force? It felt like it had been forever when Dylan pulled so hard he fell to the ground and the fish plopped right in his lap. Dylan picked it up and threw it right into the baby unicorn's mouth. "Wow, Dylan, you did such a great job at pulling that fish out of the pond. You saved the unicorn," said Tanya. As the unicorn fed, she started to stand up and walked over to the best friends and gave them a special unicorn hug. "It was not just me who saved the unicorn," said Dylan. "You helped with your knowledge of pushing and pulling. If it were not for you coming up with the idea of using the wagon to move the unicorn, we would not have made it to the pond." "You are right. With a little bit of teamwork and force, nothing can stop us." They were so excited to make their journey home to tell their family about what they had accomplished that day. Tanya invited Dylan over for dinner, and they recounted their mission. Tanya's parents were so impressed with their strength and persistence. Her mom said, "You two are a force to be reckoned with."